Let's get down to business with the particulars. The Pittsburgh Steelers will get Jalen Ramsey into their defensive backfield. They'll get Jonnu Smith.
All this talk I'm hearing about they're going to trade TJ Watt, that's not happening either. Okay, so I don't think that's even remotely in the cards. All this talk today, he's next. I don't believe that. I think they're going to give him a new deal.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I do believe that SJ now is the number one player in the world. The things that he can do from the point of attack, offensively and defensively, his ability to drive downhill and score at all three levels. And the thing about I like most about this young man at 26, he's so humble. He's so humble. And that speaks to the whole culture of OKC that Sam Presti and Mark Daigneault has built. Humble team, folks.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Will Aaron Judge be at the top of the home run board in MLB? What say you?
Judge probably is going to hit 55, 58. Somewhere around there is be his number there. So I'll say I'm going to buy this. And Aaron Judge will lead the major leagues in home runs this year. Listen, I'm not breaking news. I probably would take that every year. And when he plays, these next couple until he's getting up there in age, until his bat does start to slow down.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Kevin Durant, at the age of 36 years old, after 17 seasons that he has played in the NBA DRS, is now on his way to H-Town.
I don't think it's a great move. I wanted him to go to a ready-made championship team full of a veteran roster and see if he can ring chase that way. Not to go to an organization on the come-up that if you just stay the course, and also, what better blueprint do we have than just staying the course than OKC, right?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Dude, that's Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
Welcome back to another episode of The Smylie Show. I'm Charlie Hume. He is Smylie Kaufman on vacation. I've seen this backdrop before. This is at the beach. I'm a little jealous of that. Headed up to Pennsylvania to see the in-laws. Marginally cooler than Durham, North Carolina at this time of the year, so I'll take that. But wish I was dipping my toes in some water down there. Looks like y'all are having a good time.
The weather's not too good, I'll say.
Oh, really?
We've been fighting the weather a little bit. It's if you've been in the Southeast, it has not been great this summer season. Really, end of May and then early June, just tons of rain. I mean, we're like 12 inches over our normal average in Birmingham. The last time I talked to our super, so I know I'm down in South Florida, but still, it's still pretty insane how much rain we've got this year.
Yeah, well, and now it's just really hot. Hopefully that lets up at some point. But we've got kind of a unique episode for you tonight. We're gonna have a very brief Rocket Classic recap. We have some key points we need to talk about, and then we're going to tee you up for an interview with Scott Fawcett, who you probably know from Decade Golf. This is one of those conversations where Jackson and I have our cameras off and we're just scribbling notes furiously because the content was so good. So interesting, really, just the depth that Scott goes in a lot of different directions. So we're excited to do that. Before we get to that Rocket recap, though, Smylie, we have some brief golf updates. You went to a fitting. Here's what I want to know. On a scale of 1 to 10 in the found something scale of golf, where do you land exiting this fitting? Because you're excited about some adjustments that were made.
Well, I would say that we definitely realize it. The old Indian arrow adage, whether is it the actual Indian or is it the arrow? I think we found out it's a little bit of an arrow situation where I think the line angle was just slightly off. But the weirdest thing that we found that was very, very helpful for me was going to mid-size grips.
That is wild to me.
Now, listen, we're so early in this thing, but I will say that I did go and hit. I just put the mid-size grips on my driver in 3-wood and went out and practiced on Friday at Shoal. And I tell you, it was a noticeable difference, just feeling like it was much more like rotational, less fighting my grip and setup. So that was cool. We actually kind of changed a little bit of why and lie angles and lofts with some of the longer clubs at the top. And then also I have a standard length set. I have a 1/2 inch over that I've played since I was on tour pretty much, but I did get a standard length set. I played that probably last year for the most part of the entire year. And so I think I'm going to go and change all my lie angles on those clubs and also go mid-size there and just kind of like cross check a couple sets of irons to see, all right, what feels the best, what allows me to do the things I want to do in my golf swing. I still have things in my swing that I know, at least I know what I need to work on. And I'm seeing it, the results like via technology and ball flight. Now it's a matter of literally just breaking the mold of bad habits, which is not easy to do when you've been in bad motor patterns. When like for me, for instance, I get like way too much like side bend. I pull on the grip and I get narrow. It basically causes my hand path to get very, very narrow. So there's a lot of flip down there at the bottom.
I am very excited personally for the Smylie Kaufman mid-size grip experiment. See how that one goes. Some adjusted lie angles, and I think it's always great when you can blame the arrow. I hit a bad bunker shot this weekend. Yeah. I knew it was a bad bunker shot, but I came out. My partner was asking me about it, and I said, I don't think there was a little more sand in that bunker than the last bunker. It could not have been me. It could not have been me. It was external factors. I flew close to the sun this weekend. Smylie at Old Chatham had like 5 birdies and 8 holes. Thought I had found it. Turns out I had not found it. Big time Saturday meltdown. But I gotta give a shout out to the boys at Old Chatham. John Marino, the head pro there. They put on such a good event every year, and it was vintage. CJ, our buddy Craig Johnson, marking his balls on the green with Warriors championship rings. So you had all the excitement, all the entertainment, all the fun. I gotta find a way to play better golf, Smylie. I gotta do it.
You and me both. Is Old Chatham the course that's rated so highly? Is that one of the top rated courses in North Carolina? Am I thinking of the right place?
It's definitely one of the high rated ones in Carolina. It's also hosted a number of USGA, like US Open qualifiers. I think they have like a women's amateur event coming up. So it's hosted a few things. Great place, great people, really fun event. Last year made the shootout. This year we might have been DFL on the flight. We just might have been DFL on the flight. Yeah. I got to get better.
You didn't win that match like handily, the one that you were making 5 birdies and 8 holes, or was that a span over 2 different matches?
It was spread over 2 matches. It was like, if you want to dig in, which like I'm a crazy, I just need to go see Marino and have him fix me. But basically I had made I'd strengthened my grip around Christmas because I had a really weak grip. And then I think I just gradually been overcooking it over the past few months. And then just in the middle of our second match was like, throw it out the window. We're going back to neutral, was just striping it. And then I showed up the next day and was just losing everything to the right. So, it's like you say, to bring this full circle, I got some bad habits to break. I'm going to do it when it's not a heat index of 5 zillion outside in North Carolina. So good to see us out there hitting golf balls, right? At the very least.
Good on us. And we definitely still have a lot of respect for the game of golf. And still, we're going to continue to work at it.
Well, I'll tell you who hit some golf balls at high rates of speed this weekend up in Detroit. Aldrich Potgieter wins the Rocket Classic in his rookie year on tour as a 20-year-old, the youngest player on tour currently, the second youngest to ever earn his tour card off the Korn Ferry Tour last year. Jason Day was the youngest at 19. And Smylie, I have been waiting to use this tee up from our friends at Ahead all year long because this is what we're going to use to present tonight's episode, Speed at Impact. Ahead's clients want to use technology to deliver differentiating customer experiences, launch new digital products faster, and uncover massive efficiency gains through automation and modernization, yet they're unable to progress fast enough. Ahead's purpose is to accelerate their progress and do so in a way that creates significant and sustainable business impact. Learn more at ahead.com. Your winner this week, Aldrich Potgieter, is leading the tour in ball speed this season. He is the only player on tour averaging more than 190 miles per hour of ball speed off the tee.
What?
And here's where I wanted to start. It's a little bit of a tease for what you're going to talk about later in this episode with Scott Fawcett. You asked him a question about college recruiting. What would you go off of, at this stage in the game? And he said, literally speed alone, we could figure all the rest of it out. So let's just start with this on Aldrich. Are we looking at the future of golf right here?
Well, this is exactly the type of player that you would think would be able to contend in PGA Tour events, quickly as a young player, a player that has tons and tons of speed and confidence. And it was funny, when we previewed this incoming class with James Nitties, as we do every year, he was most looking forward to seeing how Aldrich Potgieter would play, the guy that literally just slipped into this class, getting up and down at the last hole to get his PGA Tour card. But he said he had the most upside. And the reason was because of his distance off the tee. I got to see it firsthand watching him play in Mexico this year, and really should have walked away winning that event. Something that he needs to really improve on in his game. If you go look at his stats, you go watch him play. He's been in contention multiple times this year. And I think everybody's takeaway is really, really good player, but man, might need a little chipping lesson from old Charlie Hume. That's where we're kind of at there, right?
You come to my backyard, got the green back there. We can do it all.
So I think when it's interesting when the matchups in a golf swing, for instance, you typically see really, really good wedge players and chippers have weak grips, cupped wrists. Like let's just use, for instance, like a Brian Harman as an example. Like they'll have more wrist hinge in their golf swing, and not quite as good for the longer stuff. Not to say that like Brian isn't a really good ball striker, because he is, but a very, very good wedge player and a very, very good around the green. It's like Patrick Reed just won on LIV this week. That's another prime example of a player whose matchups make to be a very good short iron player, wedge player, not as quite as good at the top of the bag. Okay, let's reverse this. Aldrich Potgieter, much more of a body rotation, like wrist set type of deal. And I think he's still learning how to get the matchups in and around the green to have all the shots he on tour.
Kalshi has been around since 2018, offering these event contract trading prediction markets where you can wager on things like the weather, whether or not Dave Portnoy is going to give a 9.0 on his next pizza review spot, and then the election, which is where they really made headlines. Election betting is technically illegal.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Put Pete Crow Armstrong on the mound to see what he does. Like Ohtani, just by himself at the plate, is the best hitter in Major League Baseball. Let's just say keep it in the National League at this point. He's the MVP. So I can't wait till he pitches 6 innings, gives up 5 earned runs. Time they go like, I don't know if he could be the MVP now. Oh no, he's still hitting 300 with 45 jacks and just pitched 6 innings in a Major League Baseball game. And people are going to hold that against him.
Pro Baseball Today. Only on SportsGrid.
If you're betting $50 a pop, doesn't matter. But if you want to bet $2 or $3 grand each side and literally have plus 110 on both sides, not the worst way to make some money on a Sunday night.
Not at all, right? I mean, and that's amazing. I've never really watched this in real time where you see these odds fluctuate with penalty kicks going on.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I can't even believe I'm saying pitcher's battle and using the words Patrick Corbin. But can I tell you, Scotty, he's a different guy. He's a totally different guy with the Rangers than we've seen.
I say this all the time. Don't worry about the first 5 innings. Like, don't even watch the first 5 innings in Texas Ranger games. Because for whatever reason, there's a ton of runs scored in the first 5, and then it just stops. It just stops.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to the Smylie Show. We have Scott Fawcett from Decade Golf joining us. Scott, thank you for joining us this morning. And how are things? And are you in Texas? Is that right?
I'm in Frisco. I'm about 3 miles from the new PGA Frisco. So
okay, give me your thoughts on that golf course. I was reading an article this morning about PGA Frisco. There's a lot coming up at this golf course in Frisco. You got a PGA Championship. Isn't there a Ryder Cup on the books? Did I lose my mind there?
I mean, if I remember correctly, I believe it is.
I mean, what do you think?
I don't mind it that much. So I've played the other course 20 or 30 times, and I think it's fun. There's a couple of goofy things in it. It's your modern super wide fairways and that whole theme. And so I was worried the first time I played the East course that's what it was going to be also, but it's not. I mean, I think it's a good course. Now, when the girls, because obviously I saw some comments that they thought it was boring and whatever, but I think it's hard to design a golf course for both men and women because in order to have it work properly, like the bunkers just have to be in weird spots for the girls. Like, why do they have that bunker there? And why I'm dead when I put it in that one. Whereas the guys, to play for the average man and the professional man, you just have to move the tees back and then everything's kind of in the same place. But for women, they hit it so straight, but obviously not quite as far as, a tour player, obviously. I just think golf courses are really difficult to have play for both sexes and then make any sense whatsoever.
I saw that the U.S. Open at Pinehurst, I think, and the next time they have it there, the men and the women are going to play back-to-back weeks too. So that the conditions of the golf course are going to be, exactly the same. And it's tough. You make a good point.
I'm pretty sure the women played second last time, so that way they could cut the rough down. I mean, that's just mandatory. And they flipped that for the NCAAs. The women play first at La Costa.
Yeah.
And so that's a big difference. I mean, and that's, again, the main way you're going to slow these guys down is by throwing some serious rough out there. And so the NCAAs is kind of handcuffed, but the U.S. Open, at least they can get out there and change the course drastically in 7 days.
Have you tipped it out at Frisco? I know you got some speed still. I mean, how old are you and what can we get our ball speed to?
Well, I'm 52 and I wish I would just stop getting injured. I was probably cruising in the low 170s before I started having knee problems last year. I was trying, my goal was to kind of like prove the decade point at scale as I was coming into turning 50. And I haven't been the gentlest on my body over the 50 years I've been on this earth. So I wound up having to have surgery on both elbows, my left knee.
No.
I was throwing the 12-year-old we were speaking about before that today. I was in the daddy-daughter dance with her about a month and a half ago. And you got to throw this 95-pound sandbag in the air 20 times in practice. And so I tweaked my back and I'm just kind of a mess.
Well, I love that you're trying to prove the system right. And I love it too. It's something I've used on the PGA Tour. You came out to San Antonio first time you and I met. John Yarbrough was my caddy. Brett McCabe was my psychologist at the time. And we really went on a nice little run there where we used the system every single week. I was playing good golf, and a lot of credit to you. And it's something I still kind of keep in mind when I look at golf courses again today. So Scott, tell us.
Do you remember who else we were playing with that day when we went around?
In the practice round?
Uh-huh.
Part of me thinks it was Corey. Part of me thinks it was Corey Connors, but I don't think that's right.
It was Xander.
It was Xander Schauffele?
Uh-huh.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. That's a good memory, because I certainly didn't remember.
I just kept my eye on him because I felt like he was paying a lot of attention while we were talking out there. And then he obviously he's gone on a fairly nice run himself there. But
it's good to see a young pro come play with a seasoned veteran like myself to learn a thing or two. I'm glad he's figured out the game of golf.
Yeah, I mean, the guys. It is interesting because when I look back when I was playing professionally in my 20s, I had this pipe dream like, man, I'm really good and I can make a Ryder Cup, and I'm not even worried about making the PGA Tour, but I can really get there. And then you get out there and you're like, oh my God, these guys that are in that top 20, top 15 maybe are just so good. If you just are so good, you just never lose your card. People don't realize how good that is. It's like even when I catch grief about like, what do you know? You never played on tour. I'm like, well, I've been a +6 for about 30 straight years. You are by definition one of the greatest players that's ever walked the planet. Now, are you in the GOAT conversation like the actual GOAT? No, but if you won on the PGA Tour, like you're one of the best couple hundred people that have ever played golf. And it's just amazing how much a lack of credit people give just getting on tour is.
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't just happen overnight. It's years and years of working on your craft, and a lot of people got to be behind you. You don't just end up on the PGA Tour. You got to have a team behind you. And definitely, I feel like colleges definitely help prepare me to get to the PGA Tour. Maybe, I think these colleges now are almost becoming factories on trying to how to get players of the PGA Tour, where we used to talk about it a little bit about wanting to get onto the tour, but now it's all these kids are probably even looking at and thinking about, and the coaches have to deal with the PGA Tour youth stuff. That's a whole nother deal. But I just want you to kind of set up Decade and how it came about for you, because obviously you're a great player in your own right, but where did all the stats and the analytics come about in your head, where you're just trying to figure out, hey, how is course management going to be dealt with the correct and proper way? When did the light bulb go off for you?
It's really interesting. Like, everybody thinks their story is so unique and interesting, but I do believe mine is somewhat randomly interesting. I went to Texas A&M, got finance and econ degrees, and honestly, the more that I've thought about it, the econ degree helps me more than the math degrees do, just because it's really the application of it. So I played professionally for 6 years out of college. I did all right. I mean, won on the Hooters Tour and other places, but obviously never made it to the PGA Tour. And then I quit in 2002 and actually started playing a lot of poker around Dallas in these underground illegal card games. I actually met Como in one in 2005. And he and I became pretty good friends for about a year and a half before he finally said, what do you do for a living? And he's like, I teach golf. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I played professional golf for 6 years. I mean, it had literally never come up.
Small world.
And so I went out the next day. Exactly. I went out the next day to he was just at a place called the Golden Bear Driving Range here in Dallas, and went out there the next day. It was my first time to really learn modern ball flight laws and on and on. Well, then Como and I started really studying poker together pretty intently for 2 or 3 years. And that was when I first started thinking about golf, like as a math game. Like, we all know that chess and backgammon and poker are just explicit math games. But it was the first time that I really started like digging into, why did I not make it? And so I wound up getting in a bet with a guy in 2008 that I was a better player as a 35-year-old amateur than I was as a full-time playing professional when I was 25. So the bet led me to enter Q school. I wound up getting through all 4 stages and got some crappy Korn Ferry status, which apparently it's easier to enter Q school with a full-time job than it is actually go play professional golf with a full-time job. So that went about as well as you would think. But that's when, in 2010, they started releasing the strokes gained statistics, and they released putting first, and actually wrote a thread for an online poker forum just titled "Is Drive for Show, Putt for Dough Really True?"
Incredible run here for Suarez, but realistically speaking, Corbin Burns out, Corbin Carroll is out right now. This is not a contending team, especially in that division where you've got the Dodgers and the Padres and the Giants. It's just too much to bear. The Diamondbacks would be smart to let Jordan Lawler play every day, see what he is, and then probably move on from Suarez.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
And there's this one guy that's popping for me. It's like Tillinghast, Bombers Paradise, Get Hot with the Putter, Northeast New York Course. Like, I know a guy that fits that profile pretty well that won a pretty big tournament at Wingfoot. Like, this is this like perfect for Bryson?
It's perfect for Bryson.
Wow.
The Smylie Show, only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I do believe that SJ now is the #1 player in the world. The things that he can do from the point of attack, offensively and defensively, his ability to drive downhill and score at all 3 levels. And the thing I like most about this young man at 26, he's so humble. He's so humble. And that speaks to the whole culture of OKC that Sam Presti and Mark Daigneault has built. Humble team, folks.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
And what's actually cool about it, if you go back and look at some of these posts, there's now 7 different directors of analytics for like the Raptors, the Chiefs, where you can see us all like workshopping these ideas in these threads because golf is so ubiquitous amongst gamblers. And so that was like the most popular non-poker forum was the golf sub forum. And then once we started thinking about once I realized in 2013 that Brody's book was coming out, I just thought stroke chain putting was it. It never dawned on me they were doing it for every, tee approach around the green. And once I saw that, I was like, well, if I can just, without getting too mathy, the standard deviations, which is just a measurement of size effectively with how I use it. If I know how big a shot pattern is and I know how many strokes it takes to hole out from anywhere, like I can solve this. It's just a math problem at that point. And I really was just doing it for my own game, just to see like what was I missing? I mean, again, I didn't specialize in golf until I got to college. And then in college, I actually only played 2.5 years because of injuries. And I mean, so that really is the nuts and bolts of how we got there. And then honestly, like Steve Jobs says, you can only connect the dots looking backwards. I did 6 months worth of work on this project, wrote 500 million cells of Excel code and tested it and tried it and everything else. And then 2 weeks before the Texas Amateur in 2014, I got a cortisone shot in my right elbow and the guy paralyzed my right arm, which obviously came back. Yay.
Good.
But I called Will Zalatoris, who, I mean, when he moved to Dallas, his dad was being transferred from San Francisco to Dallas to be the asset manager of the Galleria Mall, who, when I quit playing golf in 2002, I started an electricity company. And so I actually sell the Galleria Mall electricity. I mean, the combination of everything, you're like, damn, this is a long story, but it's really wild. His dad calls me and says, I need to meet with you, whatever. I'm getting fired. We're going to come in with our new people and blah, blah, blah. And I just happened to be wearing a Bentry Country Club logo. And he's like, oh my gosh, we just joined there. Are you a member there? And I'm like, well, this is my only chance of keeping my job. I'm like, yeah, I'm the club champion, played on the Corn Ferry Tour. And he said, I've got this son. It's so funny looking back. He's like, I got this 9-year-old that just stripes it. You won't believe it. And I'm like, I'm sure. And it was Will. And his golf swing looked identical to the way it does now. It was just 9 years old instead of 28. And so I told Will after my arm got messed up, let me caddy for you. And then obviously the rest is history with winning the Texas Amateur and then US Junior.
Gosh, I tell you what, I did not have that on my bingo card. We're playing poker with Chris Como. We're meeting Will Zalatoris' father by chance, in a gallery with electricity. That's wild. I think the thing that struck me the most in what you just kind of talked about was the amount of code you said you writ in Excel programs to try to figure out, is it standard deviation what you were trying to solve? What exactly were you trying to figure out when you're plugging in all these numbers into Excel? What are you hoping it spits out?
So I just made up, like I just took different greens from our home course from Bentry, and I just imagined pins being 4 yards from the edge, 6 yards from the edge, your standard deviation being this number and then slightly bigger, slightly smaller. And then I could just move the pin and the centering of the shot pattern around on the green. There's a kid named William Knauf that is a PhD stats candidate at Columbia that I've done a lot with over the last probably 8 years now. He probably could have solved this problem in about 8 minutes. Doing it the old man way, like
sure.
This absurdly big Excel program that probably literally did not need to be that big. But a very clear pattern just started emerging. I mean, it was really interesting looking back at it. About once a year, I'm looking for something else, and I wind up kind of plowing through these old notes and stuff. And it is interesting seeing me like trying to solve this problem. But it really is. People ask me if anything's changed over the last 10 years. And I'm like, I knew beforehand how important just avoiding bogeys was. So let's say in 2013 and 14, before I actually even used it, live. But avoiding bogeys is just by far the most important thing. And again, people get so offended when I say this, but every birdie you make technically has some form of luck, unless it's number one at Riviera. Like aside from that whole, like something kind of lucky happened. Otherwise you would do it more consistently. And I'm not saying you're not good. I'm just saying we run the same script over and over and over again. The birdies are going to magically be there, but we're going to start avoiding far more bogeys. And that's really, again, what I talk about so much. Back to when you talked about that clip that went viral a year or two ago, talking about the Tiger 5. I mean, I was definitely the first guy that brought that out into everyone's light, because Lance Bennett, actually Tiger's current caddy, had told me about this back in like 2016, 2015, somewhere in there. And I didn't want to get him in trouble. I didn't know if it was, public knowledge. And after another couple players and caddies that I was working with told me that they'd heard the same thing, that's when I just finally we need to make this known to the masses, because there's Tiger 5 mistakes. My little joke is if you feel like you should have shot lower every time you play, which we all do, you're either not as good as you think you are, or you made mental and strategic mistakes. And it's probably a little bit of both. And when you're in a post round idea, if you're going through I should have shot lower, I want you digging into those Tiger 5 mistakes, because those are the ones that quite often we can intentionally avoid. You can't intentionally make more birdies. That's just not how it works. But we can intentionally make fewer bogeys and definitely fewer doubles and higher.
We all know a night out at the club in Vegas can get a little bit pricey, but I've got a tip that can save you a cover fee at some of the hottest nightclubs. All you have to do is sign up online for free with a credible guest list service. Then, just show up before 10:30 and check right in. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
No way that I'm betting on the Cleveland Cavaliers for any reason whatsoever.
No.
Ever. Like, when they had LeBron James, it was a different story. I think Spider's great. He's no LeBron. I don't see him carrying them to a title. And I don't believe in the Knicks at all. The Knicks never get it done.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Kevin Durant, at the age of 36 years old, after 17 seasons that he has played in the NBA DRS, is now on his way to H-Town.
I don't think it's a great move. I wanted him to go to a ready-made championship team full of a veteran roster and see if he can ring chase that way. Not to go to an organization on the come-up that if you just stay the course, and also, what better blueprint do we have than just staying the course and safe, right?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And just to explain the Tiger 5 for the people that are listening and watching right now, they're like, what is that? Well, it's pretty simple. It's an easy way to track how you really are playing and doing the little things good. And the first thing is three putting, eliminating three putting.
The little things good, just not doing the little things bad.
There you go. That's probably a better way to put it. So we're talking about eliminating three putting, not making bogeys with wedges, the easy up and downs, the ones that you should get up and down, getting those up and down, avoiding double bogeys, and then not making bogeys on par fives. It's such a simple thing that when I've told it to people speaking at clinics or wherever it is, people are like, I was thinking about what my wrists were doing at the top, or I was thinking about, should I be able to shape it both ways, or should I be able to control trajectory? No, you just need to do the little things better.
Yep. And one thing that's critical to me is it's not no three putts, it's not no doubles, it's not too many. And that's a big shift mentally, because now when they happen, I used to treat every problem as an anomaly. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I bogeyed another par five today. Like, yeah, you're going to do those five things every single day. So you can't be surprised when it happens. I mean, last year I finished 8th at Champions Tour first stage, and then I missed getting status by 3 shots. I had like a 71 scoring average for 8 rounds. And I had 20 of those mistakes in 8 rounds, which is 2.5 per round.
That's
and
too
still
many. Yeah.
played basically like +5 golf over the course of, a month and a half and 8 rounds of qualifying school. And so I do believe that, we're all such lunatics that it's just important to get out there and be like, okay, there's 1, there's 2. I mean, if you're a scratch, you're going to have like 6 or 7 of those a day.
Mm-hmm.
And so really, again, what proper course management is about, it's your low rounds are still going to be there. Like, you've just kind of got to trust that that's just going to be positive variance within your shot pattern or putting or whatever. But it's that worst third of score. So like, you've got a normal distribution curve of scoring. So for me as a 71 average, that's going to be like 65 to 75. Everyone's got like a 10 shot-ish window that they're going to shoot in. It's that higher range that just kind of disappears because you don't get as mental. And trust me, if you're a hothead out there, it is possible to not get mental. Like, you just take whoever's the worst on tour right now, multiply it by 6, and then add aliens, and that was me. I mean, it's just it's just literally comical looking back how dumb I was mentally. And again, it's a lot of meditation, a lot of other things that have helped me get to the point of not getting so mad. But it's also just a very basic understanding of expectation management. I mean, that's why decade is just an acronym, and the first E is expectations. Right. Because once those are in check, it's hard to just check out for 30 minutes and get all mad.
Yeah, no, I tell you what, I didn't know decade stood for anything until I was just doing some research before our interview today. And D stands for distance, E like C correct target, A analyze, D discipline, and E execute. So when you're coming up with, how this program is going to be like just combined, or having a decade, did you just kind of go through decade in your head and you're like, okay, this acronym works? Like, how did that come about? Because that's just a random
absolute total luck. And I mean that too. Like, so Will, after he won the Texas Amateur, which again is the first tournament he won bigger than a high school event, and he won by 4, he sent me a text right after, just said, I'll never be able to thank you. You gave me 25 years of experience in 5 days. And that kind of hung with me. Obviously, it meant a lot coming from Zalatoris and whatever. But then we go win the U.S. Junior together. And then, I mean, most people don't realize at the U.S. Amateur that summer, again, he's a 17-year-old, just out of high school kid. He finished 3rd out of the 312 in stroke play qualifying at the U.S. Am that summer, crushed the world number 4 and then number 5 in the first 2 rounds, and then lost to an Oklahoma State player, Zach Olson, who was 5 under through 16 at Atlanta Athletic Club when he beat Will 3-2. Like, Will would have beat everyone else in the round of 16 that week. But the SMU coach at the time, Jason Enlow, came up to me and he's like, you've got something you can sell here because kids are idiots. You probably don't realize that. I'm like, honestly, I've been thinking about it. And he said, I've got this player named Bryson DeChambeau who's amazing at SMU, but I can't get him to stop firing at flags. Could you teach this to him? So I did in February of 2015. Back to the acronym, I originally bought the websites BeYourOwnCaddy.com, PlayingLesson.com. And then I started thinking, I'm like a big Tony Robbins nerd. And I just started trying to think of like a 6-step acronym. And so I went back to that text with Will, like I say, just had stuck with me. And so I just wanted to kind of imply we're going to take decades off your learning curve. And to be perfectly honest, the fact that the very first word I tried to do an acronym with actually worked. I've talked to people that have built acronyms and other things. Like, you have no idea how hard it is to pull that off with the word like first choice. The C correct target, I get it. I'm kind of finagling that one.
That's
a little
fine.
bit.
We give you one pass when it comes to a six letter acronym here. So I think it's great. And it all adds up. It's exactly what you teach and what your principles are.
Well, and it's that analyze part that I think is critical for junior golfers. I mean, anyone who's trying to get to scratch, like so many people want to do. People, they just don't really realize. Like, everyone's seen that video of Mickelson when he's like, well, we've got this for that. And like, he's going through this 57 different things that are going through his mind, which I highly doubt actually are. The main things we need to think about is where's the hole location? How wide is the green? What is the surrounding hazards? What's the wind and what's the course conditions? Like that's it really.
Sure.
And the analyze part of Decade, kind of walks you through how to rank all of those and rate them to choose that ultimate target. So it really is, at the end of the day, a way to try to get like I was about to say a 20-year PGA Tour playing a veteran's brain in a less experienced player.
Yeah.
But even still, then it might not be, because Stuart Sink, he literally bought the app and he'd been out there on tour for 20 years and he hadn't won in 12 years after the British Open. He fired his caddy and had his son loop for him. And he literally bought the app just out of the app store and won the next week on the PGA Tour and then won 6 months later. And it's like, it kind of just, for Stuart, cleaned up all this. I'm kind of indecisive. I don't know exactly why I'm doing what. And that's literally what he said after the second one. He's like, Decade basically just clears up what I used to kind of be out there pondering and just gives me a very strict system to follow. And I think that the mental energy that saves for people, because again, especially like college kids now, we're playing, the NCAA is just absurd in my opinion, how long they're out there for.
Oh,
I mean, it's just a total joke. But now if we can just remove that mental part of it from getting exhausted, like that's huge. That's a huge edge.
What comes to my mind, Scott, is that one shot at a time is something that is always talked about. Whether it's your dad or your granddad always telling, the player, hey, it's one shot at a time. And you'll hear it on the bright, one shot at a time. Well, guess what's really hard to do in golf? It's actually play one shot at a time and actually know what your strategy is for every shot at a time. It's so easy to fall asleep, and it's so easy too to have your mind kind of think about, oh, let's try this, or let's do this, and thinking, oh, we can aim at this because guess what? We hit this shot a couple weeks ago, so surely we can hit a high cut 4-iron over the water and it'll be totally fine. So that's, to me, is what I think helped me the most with Decade Golf, is that every single time that John Yarbrough and I went through the actual shot, it's like, hey, this is the shot, but it didn't start. This was all in the practice round where we did all of our work, knowing where the hole locations are, where the tough ones were, to where we aim more conservatively towards the middle of the green. And I just think it really made me like zone in on what exactly was the task at hand and a specific target. Really with the second shots, where the driver, which for me, I was somebody at times would get a little guidey with, I actually got more aggressive, knowing just basic dispersion patterns that I don't really think I understood before. It's like, wait, no, you do have room up there. And I think at times your mind wants you to think, no, you don't, right?
Well, people think the Decade is just all about conservative, like, so I'm just supposed to hit it in the middle of the green. Like, golf is just different than every other sport because it's not played on a uniform field of competition. I mean, middle of the green on 18 at St. Andrews, where the green is 52 yards wide, is completely different information than middle of the green on 10 at Pebble Beach, where the green is 17 yards wide. Like,
sure.
It just doesn't work that way. Whereas every tennis court, every football field, every baseball field, except for the home run area, they're all the same. And so golf is just a different sport. It's definitely part of the reason we all love it. And it's just, as a result, unfortunately, like strategically, historically, the game is virtually impossible to learn how to play correctly with like optimal strategy. But somehow Tiger somehow figured it out. I honestly always thought that Butch Harmon was the guy that taught it all to Tiger. And I was kind of fanboying on Butch to Claude one day. And he's like, dude, it wasn't him. My dad gets to sit out there and charge $25,000 a half day because Tiger taught him everything. And I'm sure he's kind of half tongue in cheek, but he's just like, dude, this guy, Tiger just got it.
If you're betting $50 a pop, doesn't matter. But if you want to bet $2 or $3 grand each side and literally have plus 110 on both sides, not the worst way to make some money on a Sunday night.
Not at all, right? I mean, and that's amazing. I've never really watched this in real time where you see these odds fluctuate with penalty kicks going on.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
Oklahoma City now becomes one of 4 NBA teams ever, one of 3 NBA champs ever to win at least 84 total regular season and postseason games.
It's just the beginning, Ben, and you just look at a team with, these guys at such a young age, and, Chet's got a team option, Ismael Dieng has a team option, Jalen Williams team option, Keyshawn Wallace team option. Hey, man, they're all coming back.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Kalshi has been around since 2018, offering these event contract trading prediction markets where you can wager on things like the weather, whether or not Dave Portnoy is going to give a 9.0 on his next pizza review spot, and then the election, which is where they really made headlines. Election betting is technically illegal.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It was the first time, I think, in Dodgers history that the ballpark was full in the first inning. Everybody was there to see Shohei Ohtani throw his first pitch as a Dodger, and I had mixed emotions about this for a few reasons. Number one, it was a reminder of, wow, this is so crazy, right? You're watching him hit 98, 99, even 100 on the radar gun going, this guy's not human. Nobody should be able to be this good of a hitter or this good of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I mean, it is interesting looking back. If you take Tiger in the late 90s, go back to the Tiger 5. If you take Tiger in the late 90s, until the middle of the 99 season. He fired Fluff and Riviere in February of 1999, and then hired Steve Williams. And there was about 2 months of them adjusting before they finally just went on this tear. But you can compare it, literally, it's like a light switch that goes off in the middle of the 99 season, to where the late 90s through 99, he was averaging 2.3 bogeys from inside 150 yards. The Tiger 5 is technically bogey with 9-iron or less. In order to quantify it, I just picked the number 150. He was averaging 2.3 bogeys inside of 150 a round, and then literally overnight that dropped to 1.25. He literally got a full stroke better virtually overnight just by not making bogey inside of 150. And I do believe that's a combination of him and Steve Williams. Just really, my other jokes, like my buddies and I used to just go to the Outback Steakhouse and talk about all the dumb stuff we did that day. And then I would go do it again the next day. Whereas Tiger's like, well, I'm kind of sick of doing this. What can I possibly do to avoid it? Because I can't hit my sand wedge much straighter than I do. And then he kind of obviously landed on the fact I do believe strategically that's what changed for him from, again, he was great in the late 90s, but he wasn't crushing it like that run he then went on through the 2008-ish season.
Hope you're enjoying Smylie's conversation with Scott Fawcett. Jumping in real quick to talk to you about our friends at ShipSticks. ShipSticks gets you from your front door to 4 easier than ever. They'll pick up your golf clubs from your home or office and deliver them on time, guaranteed to your golf destination anywhere in and outside the United States. No more airport headaches, no more lugging heavy bags, just easy, stress-free travel for golfers like you. The supporting benefits include white glove service, complimentary insurance, real-time tracking, door-to-door service, international shipping, and it is for any occasion. ShipSticks is perfect for buddies trips, business trips, even family vacations like the one that Smylie's on right now, where managing kids, strollers, and extra luggage can ruin your vacation before it's even begun. Enjoy 20% off your next shipment by using the promo code Smylie. Let's get you back to Smylie's conversation with Scott Fawcett of Decade.
Well, I know there's so many stats that the PGA Tour offers and that you can go and try to parse through to figure out, what makes a great player on the PGA Tour. And Scottie Scheffler year in and year out is leading or close to leading that bogey avoidance category, which is one of the most key statistics of what you're just speaking upon. But when you look at what makes a player great, when we talk about Scottie Scheffler, you want to talk about Bryce and Rory, Xander Schauffele, what do you look at first and what makes a modern player now in 2025?
Speed.
Speed.
If there's any one thing I think is hilarious, it's that we needed data to prove distance is important. Like, it's so funny to me that oh my God, look, that's an uncovered gem right there. And it's just like, yes, hit it as far as you possibly can. Like when I was in my 20s playing professionally, I hit it past everyone. And so when the new modern 45-inch at the time driver shaft started coming out, whereas my little 43.5-inch steel shafted Cobra, sorry, like I hit it past everyone already. I don't need more distance. And it's like more is better. And that's, Bryson obviously took that to the extreme. But that's what, like when Morikawa, and Colin, he came to my seminar while he was at Cal and Spieth, when those guys first come out on tour and they've got this 10% win rate through, 2 or 3 seasons, whatever it was for both of them. And I like both guys. I'm definitely a fan of both of them, but I'm like, that's not sustainable. You can't win at that rate on the PGA Tour unless you hit it past everyone, because your strokes gain driving number, and we've got 4 categories. It's kind of limited at, let's just make up a number, 0.25 shots. You can't, no one's going to magically, like Zach Blair, with all due respect, Zach, first name that popped in my head. Zach Blair's not going to all of a sudden gain 6 strokes off of it, off the tee one week. Anyone, my daughter could technically go out there and gain 6 strokes on the putting green on any given week. And that's where the further you hit it, that ceiling is just higher. And so distance is by far if I were a college coach, that's almost exclusively what I'd be recruiting on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what I found interesting is Rory McIlroy had a quote in the last, couple of years talking about, I think Oak Hill was a learning experience for him because he tried to play the golf course the correct way, the way it was supposed to be designed. LACC kind of comes to mind as another strategic golf course that the USGA was hoping that players would play the correct angles. And I think Rory McIlroy said it this year at the Philly Cricket Club when in a press conference. It kind of pissed off some people because it basically just added to what people want to happen, which are some people, the golf architect hardos, that they want some form of rollback in the game, but just basically saying that, I just hit driver everywhere, go find it and pretty much just wedge it on the green. Cause I typically, play better doing that.
Well, this is one thing I said. I mean, when Bryson won in 2020, I was like, I don't even know why anyone else is showing up. Nobody's going to hit any fairways. And so whoever hits it the furthest down there, people were like, he was 140th in accuracy, whatever the number was. I'm like, but you're looking at an absolute number there. You need to look at the difference in the percentage from him versus, let's just say, 50th. It's like 3/4 of a fairway around, but he's 50 past everyone. And most importantly, he's carrying it there. Like that was just a no-brainer to me. Whereas Joe Mayo posted something last week before the U.S. Open, or whenever it was 2 weeks ago before the U.S. Open, about the Bombers and this. I was like, well, the Bombers need the course to be fast, so everybody's missing fairways. This place doesn't seem like the fairways are going to be quite as fast. So because he had mentioned, I think he had said someone like Morikawa, and I was like, I don't like picking his name specifically, but this leaderboard will probably be a little bit fuller of, I'm not going to say shorter hitters, but they've got more of a chance, as probably paradoxical as that sounds, because the Bombers, like, they're going to be flying it into the rough. Like, theirs are going in the rough anyways. Like, it just is what it is. Whereas these guys now can hit a lot more fairways, and again, at a place.
Yeah. Well,
like
it was going to be one of those weeks where if Scotty or Bryson or Rory had a really good driving week, I don't think nobody was going to beat him. But if they had days like Scotty lost the golf tournament on Thursday and Friday because of poor ball striking, if he hits it like he did on Saturday and Sunday, he wins the golf tournament. And I thought it lent to a player. I'm mad that I didn't have JJ Spawn included in this category, but I knew that there was going to be some player who's a very consistent ball striker was going to be there in and around it at the end. And I had listed like Tommy Fleetwood, Shane Lowry, Sepp Straka, all these guys that hit it really straight. And JJ Spawn, just the most underrated player, man. The guy just is really good at hitting fairways and greens.
I mean, again, you get a guy out there that's kept his card for however many years in a row. I mean, like, it's just, again, like going back to like a Stuart Sink, when someone just never loses their card, like, people don't understand how, impressive that is. I mean, you get a guy like Fred Funk that's played in like 10,000 sanctioned tour events, never lost a card anywhere. It's like
insane. David
You're just really good at doing this little weird motion with your body, and it works out.
Playing online blackjack and want to try upping your odds? Well, here's a tip. Cheat cards tell you statistics for whether you hit or stand on every move. If you're into stats, this could be your ticket to winning. And it is totally legal. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Robert McIntyre is a concrete example. He and Will and I actually played a practice round together at the U.S. Amateur at Riviera in 2017. And after he had turned pro and kind of struggled for a few years, he hit me up like, hey, I'm not sure you remember. Absolutely. we did some work online, and he played great for like 3 or 4 months. And then he kind of went into this like 6-month dark spell. And he called me up and he's like, I just feel like I need a refresher. I've gotten away from the ideas and the principles. And so here we've got a guy that's at least got a little bit of a background in it now. And he just needs to get rejuvenated and focus back in on those, the decade principles. He won the next week on the European tour and actually, referred to it. I think people would be surprised how consistently I can take someone who's just overthinking and trying to force things and just be like, dude, again, circling back to it's about avoiding bogeys. Let's start there. I got a college coach that runs qualifying where he doesn't count your birdies and better. And I'm like, when he first said that, I was like, man, that's weird. And all of a sudden I was like, more I thought about it over 24 hours. I'm like, I guarantee you could find your top 5 better by running only bogey and higher counts, because a good player can intentionally avoid bogey and higher. Anyone can accidentally reel off anyone who's playing D1 college golf can accidentally reel off 7 or 8 birdies in a round and magically qualify. But those guys that are the best are the ones that are able to just intentionally avoid mistakes.
So you think
because the one thing I wanted to talk about specifically was my new COO, Alex Huang. He's got this thing where he calls it fractional bogeys. And so if a hole has a scoring average of 4.3 and if par 4 with 4.3 and you make a 5, we all think of birdie and bogey as this binary. I gained one and I lost one. And if there's any one thing the Scottish got correct, it's like par's irrelevant. Like St. Andrews, it's 9 holes out and 9 holes in. These can be the front 9 may be easy one day, maybe harder than anything the second day. And just when you start looking at people, you start looking at it that way.
Fractional bogeys, that makes it's starting to make sense. I could see where it gets real bad though is when that scoring average is 4.3 and you make a 6. That's where I could see that standard deviate or just the numbers add up.
If you play that same hole, so 4.3, and if you make a 5, so we lost 0.7 shots. I only need to play that thing 2 more times and make 4s, and I've gained back what I lost there. But if I make a double, I've lost 1.7 shots. I need to play that thing nearly 6 times making 4s. So the double's not just in that scenario 1 worse than bogey. It's actually almost 3 times as bad as bogey because we can only gain and lose shots fractionally. And to what I was going to say, Minjee Lee, she had 12 bogeys when she won the LPGA last week. All 12 were fractional bogeys. So the only holes she bogeyed were holes that were playing over par. But she had 5 bogeys. 2 of those holes, she gained 2.6 strokes against the field. Those 2 birdies wiped out 5 of her 12 bogeys because she bogeyed the hard holes and birdied a couple of hard holes. So
that's the luck you're talking about, though. When you say you kind of run into a little luck,
100%. I mean, she just happened to hit a good tee shot. Just happening to hit good tee shots on par 5s is really convenient towards winning golf tournaments because those are the holes we really need to be getting it up and around the green. If you miss 12 fairways in a tournament and all 12 are the par 5, you're probably done. Even though if I hit all 12 fairways, but then I missed 12 par 4s, I would take the guy that hit 12 on the par 5s and they would crush the other guy. And that is like shuffling a deck of cards. That just, luckily when I dealt out the jokers, they just happened to come on the par 5s. And so really understanding even where your good shots happen to fall is really important for your overall expectation.
There's always 2 key tee shots every single week that if you feel like the guy who wins the golf tournament or the girl who wins the golf tournament is the player that hits those fairways for the week. And I use Oakmont as an example. I think the 9th hole and the 15th hole were the 2 easily the most important fairways to hit, because if you didn't, the numbers of what you were going to make were going to be much higher. You're going to be fighting to make a 4. And if you happen to run into a birdie on one of those days, if you hit the fairway 8 out of 8 days on the 9th and the 15th hole, and you play those holes under par for the week, you are gaining so much against the field average. And
it's just huge. It's like Victor. I mean, Victor, I can't remember what the stat was, if it was 9 through 11 or 9 through 12. He had played at 7 under or something like that.
He missed the 15th fairway every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
every day he missed the 15th fairway. And I think it cost him the golf tournament.
Yeah, I mean, most likely. But again, he hits 9, 10, 11. I think it was in the first or second round and hits it inside 3 feet 3 straight times. That's a pretty big gain.
Sure. Yeah.
That's a pretty hard hole. There's just so much more to it. And that's why I do half jokingly say winning requires luck. I mean, you just have to set the deck of cards up in your favor and run the script over and over and over again. And that's where it really does come down to the best players. If you take like in the NCAAs, if you take the teams that were top 5 in bogey avoidance, they had an 83% chance of getting through regionals. If you take the top 5 in birdies, they only had a 70% chance. And that's pretty close. Like, well, that's a pretty big difference, to be perfectly honest. And that same theme plays out just every week on tour, every week in any qualifying for USGA events. It's just the guys that avoid bogey are the guys and gals, I should say, are the ones that are just up there every single time. And that is variance almost by definition.